Hey, Cheesy here. Welcome back to Of the Devil. We're starting our new case that we've been forced into. And, yeah, we'll see how it goes. We're at a black screen. Pretty quiet elevators, huh? Oh, dining room. Oh, nice dining room. Very green. You could have taken the next one. It's a busy building, detective. Can't hold up everyone else on our account. Anything you'd like to grumble at me before I start? Don't touch anything. I don't care what you're wearing, that you're wearing gloves. All right. I've been to crime scenes before, you know. Long before the police get there, in many cases. Look, Rockford asked me not to get in your way, but that doesn't mean I'm going to bend over for you. Do you at least have the autopsy report? No. Are you seriously? I don't. She doesn't? The report should have come in hours ago. It wouldn't take this long unless the cause of death was still... Then I'd settle for a summary of the preliminary findings. An emergency call was made shortly after 8 p.m. last night via the home security system. Emergency medical services had a VTOL in the VTOL. I don't know what that is. In the air within the minutes. Oh, I see. It's like their aircraft thing. They landed on the penthouse's helipad at 8:08. Dr. Asher was found unconscious with low blood pressure and a weak heartbeat. He wasn't breathing. Okay. Not good. In-flight auto triage administered artificial CPR while in transit to Gatesfield Memorial. He was declared dead a few minutes after being taken to the emergency wing. I see. That sucks. And the cause of death is? Being investigated. Make an educated guess. He stopped breathing, so they gave him oxygen. His heart stopped pumping, so they had the machines take over. His brain activity dropped to 0. And there wasn't anything else they could do. It was poison, wasn't it? What kind? You don't know, do you? They don't know either. Like I said, ma'am, we don't have the autopsy report yet. Why are you certain it was poison, Adonai? Couldn't it have been an accidental overdose? If he had overdosed on a commercial drug, even a pre-med student would have spotted it on the hospital's intake screening. They would have been able to pump his stomach, neutralize his bloodstream, and he would have lived. But he didn't live. So it must have been something deadly, a compound designed solely to kill. A fast-acting, deadly poison that causes respiratory failure. The list can't be that long. Even just through process of elimination, the medical examiner should have identified it by now, unless... You suspect a designer drug, don't you, detective? Why is it that you're only quick on the uptake when it suits you? Nothing else makes sense given what we know and what we don't. But the CDCA decriminalized and cataloged all recreational drugs. CDCA? It's a series of laws passed in the 2060s that decriminalized all narcotics use and established the Bureau of Narcotics Oversight to administrate the production, licensing, distribution, and taxation of drugs across the country. Okay. Overwhelmed by civil unrest and eager to replenish government coffers, the CDCA were intended to reduce the backlog of criminal cases across the country and provide much-needed tax income, while also incentivizing immigration with the promise of amnesty. In what was considered a domino effect, other major nations around the globe passed comparable laws to build up their own depleted war chests and revitalize their local economies. The so-called white wave of global amnesty overturned the international drug trafficking market in just a few short years. The gray wave followed soon after, as money-starved criminals organizations waged economic and literal war against multinational corporations for dominance of this new gray market. Designer drugs, probably. Kind of like what they do nowadays. Fierce competition for government licenses to produce classic narcotics emerged alongside a race to develop new, more powerful designer drugs and to monopolize their sales in months, as it would take government the government to identify and legalize them. Yeah, it's like taking like a classic drug and just changing a molecule in there. Still has the same effects, but it's no longer considered the same illegal drug. While rates of addiction and overdose deaths have dropped since their peaks in the last 2 decades, the dangers associated with untested designer drugs and drug distributors' eagerness to earn new customers has continued to fuel debate over the legacy of the CDCA and the white wave as the whole. I don't think that works very well. Cur, an archaic term for a dog. Yeah, I know that. Kaguya. That's the stage name of a singer-songwriter for her powerful voice, stage persona. Snow's intricately crafted lore. After releasing a blitz of chart-topping singles, a quadruple platinum album, and a bevy of cultural reset music videos in just the last 3 years, she has come to be considered a leading living figure in the pop music and popular culture realm. Interesting. I wonder... Kaguya lore explain, Kaguya iceberg explain, Kaguya Luna Tropic tour tickets where to buy. Kaguya's official age is listed as 1,086 years old. She released her first single, Orbit, in 2083, which went on to peak at number 1 at the Blahboard Top 100 Rubicon Digital Singles Chart and the Ni 8, that music video streaming tracker. Okay. Personal details on a pop star remain scarce, and protecting her anonymity has become a core part of her fan culture. When the retired facial analysis expert claimed that her stage makeup was formulated specifically to make facial recognition on her impossible, a representative for her record company met with the press to clarify that she is simply a private person who wants her fans to enjoy the experience that is Kaguya's voice. Makes sense. Makes sense. And then there's the preliminary hearing that we learned about in the previous episode. All right. Guess you aren't entirely clueless about politics. Yeah, we know about designer drugs. So whatever father overdosed on should have been in the hospital's database. You need to update your definitions. You're confusing designer drugs with recreational drugs. Huh. What do you mean that it's... In a literal sense, designer denotes any drug that is custom made as opposed to mass produced, typically outside of normal pharmaceutical industry standards. Yes. Common parlance, however, designer drugs, DEDs, are illicit narcotics formulated to produce recreational high. Yeah. While the CDCA and the white wave that followed it legalized and taxed virtually all known narcotics, it did so alongside extensive documentation and study, and those laws could only apply to drugs that already existed. Any drug patented after the white wave must go through approval processes and registration with national and international authorities, a time-consuming process that can take anywhere from 6 months to several years. This time lag creates a window of opportunity wherein organized criminal groups can step in to meet the demands for a narcotic. What has become known as riding the wave is the new normal for international drug trade, pitting mob chemists against corporate laboratories in a race to develop newer, more powerful, more easily habit-forming drugs, and cornering the market on them before legislation catches up to them. Users also frequently search for, is Nerve legal yet? Best new DEDs 2086. Nirvana designed by who? Interesting. Fascinating. What is the difference? Recreational drugs are decriminalized and sold through pharmacies after years of testing and mountains of paperwork, while the average designer drug was invented last week in a 19-year-old line cook's bathroom on the other side of the globe. Hospitals can't know the proper countermeasures for an overdose of a drug that didn't exist 48 hours ago. Came across makeshift labs all the time when I was in uniform. The equipment's cheap and widely available. Black market cooks, gray market peddlers, and white-collar lobbyists all chasing each other's tails in a long line to find the next big hit. CDCA didn't change shit. More people die from ODs than ever before. Damn straight. Only difference is, it's their families finding them in the living room and not beat cops finding them on the street corners. Real comforting, I'm sure. If it wasn't you talking, I'd say that was criticism of law enforcement. Not law enforcement, just a law. I mean, fair. Assuming it was a designer drug, That would certainly make things more complicated. For the insurance guys, maybe. For us, whatever he used to do it, he still killed himself. Or didn't kill himself, if you insist. I'm gonna take a look around now. Yeah, sure, make yourself at home. What's that face for? I thought there would be an outline. An outline? Around where they found Father. Like in the movies? Like in film. Connect to the police's network and bring up their ARCS file. Augmented reality crime scene. I see. Nice. And it still looks like the Cryware logo to me. This doesn't change. Oh, I'm about to sign into Kirby. Augmented reality crime scene. There is an outline. And so this is where he died at the hospital. This is just where the medics found him. And it's the sensors and cameras they were wearing that create the basis for this ARCS. They didn't realize they were walking into a crime scene, but their body cams gathered data all the same. Where do we start? You can start by following behind me and trying to be as quiet as possible. I'm starting to get a feel for when she's pouting, even without looking. Okay. That's a cool place to hang. Oh, okay, clearly there's poison here. Huh. Who's that guy? Police and androids monitoring the scene. Could almost mistake them for the real thing. The way they stand there trying to look important. Like an indoor dog taking its first trip to the park. Pardon? Why are you looking at it like you've never seen an android before? Because I haven't. In person. David didn't even let you have a mirror. Brutal. Just scan its chin if you're that curious. Unless that's considered too forward or whatever. Morgan is slow on the uptake when it comes to humanity stuff, huh? A chessboard and a data pad with a series of characters on it. E4, C5, NF3. NF3, E6, D4, CX, D4, NX, D4. What does that mean? This is... Oh, it's a cipher, all right. Wait, let me see. This is my backlog. L. L is for backlog. E4. Then C5. NF3. Is that knight? I don't know what those words are, but it looks like a cipher in my opinion. Some kind of secret message perhaps, or black has checkmate in 40 moves. Wow, a robot that's good at chess. We ought to put you in a museum. But I'll take your word for it. What do you mean? Do you not play Adonai? No, especially not against David. Well, that is to be expected. Anyone who challenged Father to a battle of wits would naturally grow tired of losing. Every game starts the same. Each player has the same pieces, the same moves, the same options. It's a true test of wit, strategy, and forethought. To me, it always seemed too boring, too fair. The smarter player wins every time. That's exactly what makes it so fun. And that is something you take fault with? Of course, how's a gal like me supposed to win a game like that? True, true. Like, Morgan's very clever. Very street smart, but I find her to be not as observant as she should be. I always admired this view. The buildings gleam with reflections of holograms and sunlight, and their shadows obscure the rundown, rotting parts of town. Maybe the view's secondary. Maybe all anyone really wants is to put as much distance between them and the street level as possible. Is it possible that a witness could have seen something through these windows? Not through these windows, no. David installed wide-spectrum auto tint in all his homes, all his cars. I didn't know that. Well, you wouldn't notice unless you were viewing the penthouse from more than Why did he care so much about his windows? Great question. Okay. Guess this was supposed to be considered a game. It says here that when the medics arrived, he was on the floor face up. Does that tell you something? Hey, if you were going to drink a glass of poison, would you be sitting or standing when you did it? I find it difficult to speculate on that hypothetical scenario. The seat by his body is pulled out. If he was seated when he lost consciousness, I would expect him to find him slumped over the table. But he wasn't found slumped over. He got up. No, he wasn't. When he had been standing when he lost consciousness, I would think he would have fallen forward, at least collapsed less neatly. So what can you conclude from that, Adonai? Only that I'm missing something. I mean, the chair fell over. It kind of looks like he fell after trying to get up. Maybe the poison has something to do with him needing to stand. You know, maybe it activates when he gets up, which could be a really good way to maybe mask the poison temporarily. Because if he was feeling unwell while he was drinking it, I feel like something would have stuck. One chair knocked over, probably where David was sitting, and one chair pulled out, a party of two. He never cared much for socializing, but he enjoyed hosting. Contradictory guy. We got a table. Better take a closer look. Wow, a table. Oh, let's read. Password lock, but already cracked. But already cracked by the police, it seems. All the docs were take home safe, nothing spicy. When was it last used? 7:48 p.m. Still reading work emails only a few minutes before he committed suicide. How morbid. There's a lot of messages marked priority that breadcrumb their way back to an article. Okay. Warm android blood saves soldier's life. Oh, it's that thing we talked about with Starling. In a stunning and heroic episode of one of our nation's brave soldiers had their life saved by a noble android, and in a way that no other competitor's product could. A brave private, name withheld, was wounded during military operation whose exact nature and location is currently classified. Bleeding badly and far from the nearest triage station, he was carried to safety by his fellow freedom fighter, an Animate 16 enforcer, one of the few warm androids being currently tested out by the armed forces. But the android didn't just sit there and wait for evac. It opened up its own arteries and pumped life-saving UD, universal donor, synthetic plasma into the young man's veins, stabilizing him long enough for him to reach military hospital. I have no doubt he'd be dead if there was any other android fighting alongside him, said one commanding officer who asked not to be named. I always thought Noble was only good at making ads that look good. Now I know they've got something inside them that no one else can compete with. Real blood. The story brings a well-deserved shot in the arm to Noble's stock prices and market share. With this one heroic moment, Noble's warm androids have proven themselves to be worth their price tag. And then some. And people in the Capitol are paying attention. It's certainly an interesting idea, Senator Mathing said when he asked about committing to a military contract for Noble to provide armed forces with warm models. This story's got people talking. If we just ignored our constituents' feelings on this matter, we'd be neglecting our duty as politicians, and I know none of my peers would ever try to put a price on the life of one of our soldiers. While additional details about the incidents have remained closely guarded, the net is already ablaze with the talk of, oh, damn, you are not logged into this device. Why don't you pop your user details down below and enable crumbs so you can get the user experience you deserve? Yeah, that's part of the article. All right, very interesting. This is the article that I've seen going around. But why would Noble have it marked as priority? Starling said they weren't in any rush to pat each other on the back over it, even though they'd won themselves a real prize. It's that military contract, though. Because, like, that's the thing. There was warm androids. Certainly sent us a contract for Noble. Huh. Story's got people talking. Worth the price tag. It's not PR. It's military contract. They now have an excuse they need to pressure the military into a contract for warm androids. Can't dismiss the expensive upgrade as unnecessary now that it saved a soldier's life. This time next year, there'll be pink oxidizing fluid being spilt all over the globe. Very Danganronpa. Okay. What's this one? 2 cups. 1 empty, knocked over, and 1 mostly empty. These look cheap. Did his guest bring them? I've seen them before in the basement liquor cabinet. He kept these lying around. I knew he regifted those crystal glasses I got him. Ark says there's nothing foreign in the upright one, so I can't have been poisoned. Results are inconclusive on the other cup, however. Looks bone dry. Must have been nothing but fumes left by the time this was considered a crime scene. Just not enough there for them to test. Inconclusive could mean... Inconclusive means inconclusive. That's all. Cheer up and read me the results of the fingerprinting. Father's prints are on both cups, as expected. But there are someone else's on the upright cup. Someone else must have been with him last night. Slow down. All that proves is that someone else touched the cup. Doesn't tell us when they did it. And since we don't know who the prints belong to, Adonai, why don't we know who the prints belong to? Are the prints flagged as unidentified or... No, there's space for a name, but the field is black. Shit, am I already that late to the action? Detective Reyes. Yeah. There's a second set of prints on the cups. Is there a form you'd like me to sign? Doesn't matter how nicely you ask, sometimes people just can't answer. You should know that damn well, Madam Counselor. I was afraid you'd say that. I don't understand, Adonai. What does this mean? It means that whomever these prints belong to has very proactive representation. Those prints belong to a witness, as you guessed. You're more than welcome to their testimony. But their identity is... The department is being very considerate of the witness's privacy, out of respect for their time, appreciation for their cooperation. Fine, forget the name. That easily? Subpoenas are always an option, but I'm short on time. Subpoena different? No, it's a legal order by the state on behalf of the prosecution or defense that compels the addressed party to give testimony. Yeah, that's a subpoena. Good times. What did the witness have to say for themselves, Detective? To paraphrase, they came to see Dr. Usher last night. The two of them talked, and they had a drink together. Then the doctor got sick, so they activated the emergency system from the panel in the kitchen. The EMTs came and took them both to the hospital. Usher's condition got worse. All of the witness's vitals were normal. The witness had their vitals taken. Then there should have been a record of their admission at Gatesfield. And that's it. I'm guessing you just didn't take all of that on faith. Penumbra's setup is in most of the rooms on this floor. Wait, what? Okay, Penumbra is set up in most of the rooms on this floor. Everything the witness told us was corroborated by the building's own surveillance system. So yes, we can guarantee that the witness never put anything into Usher's drink. Guessing that I can't have the keys to the Penumbra, can I? Not until the witness's lawyers are done reviewing it. Lawyers, plural? I don't have time to trade jabs with the law offices of Johnson, Johnson, Johnson & Johnson. That's a great name. Say, how about I give you their business card? Law offices of Kochler, Gustav, Prince & Prince. That was close. No, I'd be getting any client information out of them directly. If all of you bloodsuckers want to get together and tear each other apart, text me before you start. I'd like to watch. Yeah, I bet you'd like to watch. What does that even mean? I don't know. Needed a moment to think. So that was it. One chat, one peek at the cams, and you've already eliminated them as a suspect? Look, they were searched. They didn't have any poison, any drugs, not even a stick of gum. Even if they somehow did have poison on them, the camera footage confirms they had no opportunity to use it. They drank from the same bottle as the dead man. As far as the department's concerned, they were nearly the second victim. But they aren't dead, or even ill, from the sounds of things. So you think he poisoned his own cup beforehand and poured for both of them from a safe bottle? That's what the evidence is telling us. There's nothing in the bottle or the witness's cup. But after drinking from his cup, a cup he prepared himself, he fell ill, and the witness didn't. And Asher died with a foreign substance in his body. An unidentified foreign substance. Suicide by poison. I get that you were close, and simple explanations aren't all that satisfying, but that's life. One last thing. You just said he prepared his cup himself. Did you see that on camera? He left the parlor to get the drinks and came back with his already poured. The witness says he got them from the basement. The witness says that, not the cameras? There are no cams in the lab, or the basement. That seems like a security hazard. Why would Noble not set things up more carefully? It's intentional. If cams of his lab ever got hacked, outsiders could steal his IP and kick Noble's monopoly to the curb. Right. David did complain about Noble's weird protocols for combating corporate espionage. At least we can take comfort in knowing that Father wasn't alone when he died. Yeah, that's worth investigating. Rose River Whiskey, 12 years old. You recognize it? Sure. He was more than partial to the brand. It's a good brand. Only a bit overpriced, which is a bargain of a lifetime in David's world. It appears that the police have already tested its contents. No foreign matters present, was their conclusion. Is it possible that the police missed the poison? No. Even if they can't identify the poison, they can detect its presence by comparing samples of the whiskey to a bottle off the store shelf. So we can eliminate the possibility that the bottle of whiskey was poisoned. This is the evidence, huh? Favored by the deceased. No foreign toxins. Oh, here's the statements by the witness. Sorry for the noise. Statements made by the singular witness to David Escher's suspected poisoning and death corroborated by video evidence. Witness arrived at 7:30 p.m. The witness spoke with David Asher on his parlor before he left to retrieve liquor from his basement at 7:36 p.m. Upon returning at 7:38 p.m., the two of them continued speaking while they both drank. David Asher felt lethargic and disoriented shortly after 8 p.m. David Asher lost consciousness at 8:03 p.m. EMS were called from the emergency console in the kitchen at 8:04 p.m. David Asher and the witness were taken to Gatesfield Memorial Hospital at 8:08 p.m. Oh, that was fast. They just died right away. Plastic cup with small amount of whiskey. Found upright. Saliva and fingerprints match unknown individual. Contains no traces of foreign elements. And then we got David's cup. Forensics analysis matches first fingerprints, but toxicology tests have proven inconclusive. Too much whiskey was drunk or evaporated. We'll have to find our smoking gun elsewhere. Spilled alcohol. The arcs show how it looked like last night before it evaporated. No foreign substances in the puddle. It's clean. So does that mean wherever this spill came from must be clean as well? Seems like that's everything critical on this side of the room, which leaves the kitchen. You said there's a camera footage of the dining room showing David and his guest. What about in here? Only camera in the kitchen is the one mounted on the call terminal. The console took a snap image when the witness ran in to contact emergency services. May I see it? Not unless you scrape the witness's face off the pic first. Don't tempt me. I kind of want to check that though. Okay. Is there stuff up here that's exciting? No. What is? 3 unwashed dishes and a single glass. Okay. Reyes, these dishes haven't been scanned for prints yet. And I just assumed you might want to do your job. Yeah, there are prints. Most matched the victim. But there are also, Hey, don't sneak up on me like that. All I did was walk over to you. You knocked over the salt adonai. I was focused on the task at hand. Didn't realize tunnel vision was a selling point on your mod. Adonai, the salt. As I was saying, the witness's prints are on that glass. That glass in the sink they were drinking from the cups in the parlor. Did you see the glass on camera? No. So when did they touch this glass? You need to toss it over your shoulder. The witness thought about giving the guy some water, but he would have just choked on it if they had tried. She's like, please toss the salt over your shoulder. It's bad luck. What do you think this glass... Do you think this glass was the murder weapon? It's bad luck, Adonai. Whacked him on the back of the head so fast it went between video frames. That's genius. You should go through the footage frame by frame to prove your theory. Mature. It's bad luck. What have you been going about, the salt? Shouldn't a machine be above petty superstition? It's not a superstition, it's an ancient wisdom. Give me a logical reason to care then. If too much salt spills onto your food, it'll make you gag. Maybe it's on me for setting the bar too low there. I think the salt shaker is pretty important, personally. It fell. That, though, makes me want to look at it. Salt shaker that was accidentally knocked over during the investigation. The cap was loose. This is the problem. The cap was loose, and so the salt spilled over the countertop next to the sink. Spilled salt is an omen of bad luck, according to some. Consuming too much salt once will make you gag, according to Sarah. You think the poison was in the salt shaker? Whiskey found spilt in the dining room table after evaporating for most of the night. There's little left to test. No foreign compound. Yeah. Water glass. Oop. Glass of water found in the sink of David Asher's kitchen. Bears the DNA fingerprints of the unknown witness. No trace of poison. KK. What else to look at? We got a bunch of things. Messy workspace, but a pristine kitchen. David was a good cook, but only for others. Unless he had guests, he'd happily eat instant ramen and protein bars for all 3 meals. Or 2, or 1. I'll be honest, I'm kind of the same. I love cooking for other people, and it's great to make some great dishes. But at home, very low standards for myself. Mostly because if it's healthy and I can survive, I don't really need to make the presentation nice. I'm not trying to impress myself. Oh, forgot to read that part. Wait, L. So whoever this guest was, they must have shown up unannounced. No signs of food prep to be found. Not so much as a cheese board. Yeah, he would usually host. All right, that's interesting. Surprise visit, I see. David's fridge normally wouldn't go poking in the pantry at a crime scene, but this was a poisoning. Some white wines chilling in the drawer, some real cheap liquor stuffed in the icebox. Old habits. Reyes, you said he left the parlor and came back with whiskey from the basement? Ha, that's what the cams show, yeah. There's plenty to drink right here. And unlike the cabinet downstairs, it's actually cold. Must have wanted Rose River in particular. What's that look for? You hungry? I am an android. I do not get hungry. Are you being sarcastic? Only mostly. I thought you said you required organic nourishment. I do ingest organic substances, but that doesn't mean I experience hunger as you do. So when you don't ingest organic substances for a long time, I become tired. What a great feature. And when I'm done digesting, I don't need to know. I would like to know. I'm curious to know how this prototype android works. David literally left it to me. Oh, I thought I could look at that. Oh, This is where the emergency call was made. What time did the call go out? 8:04 p.m. Before you asked, the witness left the parlor at 8:03 p.m. Not enough time for them to alter the scene. I wasn't going to ask that. When did the medics arrive? 8:08 p.m., remember? Hell of a response time for a penthouse. Private EMS came by air? Yeah, they landed on the VTOL pad you saw outside. Took him to Gatesfield. The very best if you can afford it. Looking around here, it seems like he could afford a lot. He got his insurance through his employer, just like most people. Caduceus Executive Plan 4 isn't like most people, counselor. Yet at an executive level, not like most people at all. Emergency console. That's interesting. Huh. Guess we kind of went through it. The emergency console. Private contact via said private emergency service contract through David Escher's Caduceus thing. His health insurance policy with Caduceus paid for through Noble Electronics includes private EMS service on standby. Caduceus only offers 3 levels of employer provided plans that outrank it. Huh. That outrank it. So there's even higher ones. You've now had the chance to survey the crime scene. Yeah. So, do you think you know what happened? Detective, is his body still at the hospital morgue? Yeah, he's at Gatesfield, along with 100 noble Megs who've all called dibs. Then I'll just have to cut in line. Sarah, get me a ride to Gatesfield Memorial. What? You can do that, can't you? I can't. But I need your payment information to get started. Yeah, okay. Understood. On my way down. Got it. Sync complete. Set pickup for 10 minutes should be plenty. The crowd down there seems to have gotten quite large. 10 minutes to reach the pickup spot may be an ambitious target, Adonai. How bad can it be? Pretty bad. 12:21 p.m. I love this July 1st. It's going great. As I approach the lobby's exit, the building's soundproofing begins to fail. The crowd has gotten bigger, but there's something else happening out there. The energy's not panicked yet. It's creeping up on the tipping point. Are there this many people pissed at Noble for selling androids? The hell's gotten them all so excited? Adonai, what does that symbol mean? In this rabble, probably something vulgar. Which one? That heart with a bullet hole. I don't know. It's probably nothing. Based on net associations, it appears to be a symbol for the HeartBreak killer. That doesn't make any goddamn sense. Why would that freak have a symbol or a following or these, whatever these people are? Why the hell would they be outside David Escher's apartment? Because Noble's trying to cover up the truth. They are? Those Megs in there are scrambling to shred every document they can. We need to stick together, form a perimeter, and try to catch them when they go to dump the scraps. Sarah, what are you hoping to find? Proof that Escher was killed for trying to blow the whistle. Blow the whistle? On HeartBreak? Noble doesn't want the world to know that A16 is sentient and homicidal. You think that HeartBreak is an android? You think whoever did all that was human? Noble's advanced prototype went amok and started killing random people. Don't be a lamb. It only looks random. There's a clear pattern, as long as you're smart enough to see past the bullshit. Okay, yeah, that's usually the attitude of people who are somewhat smart, but not smart enough to be good. There's a lot of them out there. Those are the ones that don't stay in lane. They don't stay in their own lane, technically. And how does one see past the bullshit? Stop engaging. Smart kid, she gets it. She's asking the right questions. What the hell are you talking about? No way those victims were related. It's gotta be deniable ops. Deniable ops? What the heck is deniable ops? Deniable is a fictional classification for clandestine state actions that need not be taken responsibility for because plausible deniability and military disinformation efforts create enough confusion that every party involved, even the victims, can spin the outcome to suit their own needs. Okay. It's a common recurring concept in online conspiracy theories, often used to waive any questions about why supposedly explosive events are never reported through the media. Oh, I see. Conspiracy theory stuff. It's commonly claimed that deniable ops make an ample use of private and military contractors in order to further distance governments from the political ramifications. Oh, so it's kind of like when they hire, like, not necessarily bounty hunters, but private armies, I suppose. Conspiracy theories are no laughing matter. If you're worried about someone you know might be introducing or spreading misinformation themselves, you can report them. Yeah. Wait, who's Fran? Oh, yeah. Values rarity, originality, vibes. Oh, yeah, Shu. Ooh. She's probably going to figure stuff out for me, including information on the person, aka witness. Babysitting, audiobooks, manspreading, chewing gum, sports drink spiking, shopping for groceries, remembering lyrics. Default status, do not reserve. Sarah, she likes martial arts, carbonation, collarbones. That's random. Unemployed paralegal? Jesus Christ. Almost 200 kilograms. Wild girl. Static, blackouts, elevators. I'm good at a lot of things. I'm not sure how skills differ from talents. The 180 rule. I do not know how these technically are different, in my opinion, but yeah, you know. Hey, it's Emma. Milk tea, yeah. Worst at deciding what to order, getting staff's attention. Do these change each chapter? Or each episode, more like it? They must have all been in DO together before getting their records bleached. Then as soon as they've outlived their usefulness. What are you, nuts? Everyone knows the first 6 HK got to wear the 6 prototypes that came before him. Warm android's so perfect, no one can tell the diff. A bullet to the heart is the only way he could kill those over-engineered freaks. The other over-engineered freaks. Everyone's got a goddamn opinion. I see. Stop seeing. Start moving. These people are insane. Why don't you eat some more corn slop, asshole? Think you can be the cyberpunk without ever thinking for yourself? I love that this kind of attitude is very common these days, but thinking for yourself is not following someone else's prerogative. Also, if thinking for yourself means creating logic out of nowhere, you're wrong. You're mostly wrong, because logic out of nowhere is not in reality. Originality is a term coined in a short science fiction story, blah, blah, blah. Cyberpunk, or cyberpunk historically, has referred to a counterculture centered around the themes of underdogs resisting powerful corporate and government forces through digital guerrilla warfare. I mean, that is the cyberpunk storyline and aesthetic. Wanderer, man without a name, a wanderer with their own rule of law. None of those people will be able to do it. The fact they're even part of crowd shows that they're not even cyberpunk. You think it's a coincidence victim number 6 was working on Harco crops? They're putting something in the food. Those people. HeartBreak. This is a goddamn embarrassment. The hell am I paying taxes for if the state can't shut this shit down? What about you, Adonai? What do you think about this HeartBreak figure? They're just a murderer. Should be caught and sentenced like any other murderer. But they must have some reason for doing such terrible things. Aren't you curious? Why? Are some reasons for committing murder better than others? They might have experienced trauma or abuse. They might have. Millions of people experience trauma and abuse every day. Millions. And yet, there's only one HeartBreak. So you think they were just born that way? That's my guess. That's unsatisfying. Sad. I don't see why it would be. If HeartBreak was born like that, then they never had a chance to be anything else. If HeartBreak was born like that, then none of us normal people would ever have to worry about turning out like that. That kind of predestination, it means they never have to take responsibility for what they are. The state can make them take responsibility. As soon as they catch them. You make it sound so trivial. They are a very dangerous serial killer. Just a serial killer. Just. If HK shot someone every day, it would take them 1,132 years and about 11 months in order to have killed 413,789 people. You did that in your head. I'm good at mental math. It's true. You counted the leap years. But what is the significance of that number? Deaths within 18 months of the Black Fork industrial disaster. What is that? The heck is that? Okay. Congestion ahead. We're currently limiting traffic related to this particular search due to a large number of edits coming from the net. We're proud to fight alongside valuable user country in combating disinformation by foreign actors like those in User Adversary latest. You can read more about how and why the collaboration works here. I can't click on it. Tired of running into slowdowns? So are we, but maintaining a secure data board. Oh, we can't even. Ugh, lame. Times that number by 2 for the injuries. Take back another 183% for the birth defects. 413,000 dead, and there wasn't anything evil about it. Just human error, some shoddy welding. End time. You think that the HeartBreak is nothing? By comparison. Exactly. Perhaps that is the problem then. If they're nothing, if they represent nothing, then they can stand for whatever the crowd wants them to. Exactly. People will project everything into an empty vessel, no matter how stupid that vessel is. I mean, I'm not going to talk about politics, but I think you know what I'm implying. Please make way. Officials are coming through. Please disperse. Keep walking, pigs. Fascists. Noble owns the cops. Only the cops they build in their factories. Very funny. Why are we tolerating this shit? You want me to wade through the crowd with a nightstick? Prove them wrong? You know what I mean. We're the only people in the city trying to do some goddamn good, and they're all just... That's just part of our job, detective. No offense, ma'am, but wearing a police badge earns you a little more hate than. Do they give prosecutors badges? I have an ID for the parking garage. Does that count? Depends. You ever hesitate to wear it in the open? This moral relativism of yours seems like a strange philosophy for someone in your profession, Adonai. Breaking out the thesaurus on me? I do like this picture of her. I'm only being realistic and humble. I'm just one woman, Sarah. Whatever I do, right or wrong, it's less than a % rounding error in the grand scheme of things. Do you tell that to your clients? No, but they do come to appreciate it when I win. I don't mean cops in particular. The same deal applies to anyone who works for the state. The terms are stark, but the ink dried a long time ago, and we all agreed to them. I don't really call voting for it. Well, non-voting is how these things come to pass, so we traded freedom for safety, individual rights for collective power. The state won. The citizens lost. The very least we can do is take their criticisms head on. Look, I don't have a problem with the responsibilities of authority. Only with authority being challenged. But they treat us like we're the bad guys. Well, sometimes we are. Sometimes the law is wrong. So if any given individual is too small to ever affect change, so if the public's gonna hate us no matter what we do, and if the corporations and governments will trample over people the same regardless of their character, and if we can't even be sure we're doing the right thing, what do you do, Adonai? What the hell do we do? I think it's pretty simple. It's not as complicated as you think. In times like these, in a world like this, the only logical way to live is, the only moral way to act is, do whatever it takes to win. This is so Death Note. This is absolutely Light and Kira. I mean, Light and L. If I'm insignificant in the grand scheme of things, I can do my worst and no one will notice. If power is inherently evil, holding back won't save your soul. Just fight with both barrels, and trust the opposition to do the same. Winner takes all. Sounds about right. What's next? July 1st. Gatesfield Memorial Hospital. Oh, thank you. You're a lifesaver. And the next time that Bridezilla texts you, just turn your phone off. Chatty guy. Must have been due to go on break. When he tried and failed to find the witness's medical record, his data pad had the name blacked out. But I did see they had a Caduceus Executive 3, more expensive than David's, which means they most likely... How did you do that? You need to hold the button to get the doors to close faster. Mashing does nothing. That is not what I meant. There are many others who arrived before us. How did you get us down here so quickly? Well, I didn't do anything. It was that nurse who escorted us. Yes, but you managed to get a stranger like him to help you with so few words, so little information. I don't think you even gave him your name. Haven't you ever heard of the golden rule? Of course I have. Treat others how you want to be treated. Wrong. Treat others how they would want to be treated. Yes. He wanted someone that he could vent to. He wanted someone to pay attention to him, and he wanted to feel appreciated. Exactly. Which means he'd be eager to help given the chance. All you have to do is appeal to the person's sensitivities, and people will let their guard down. Even just reading someone's mood is quite difficult. How can you know how another person wants to be treated? There are no mind readers. No one can ever know anything about what anyone's thinking. Maybe not even themselves. Doesn't matter if they're your parent, your twin, your lover. It'll always be a gamble. It is. That is not a very comforting sentiment. Well, I think it's fun. Only because you're good at it. How did you get good at it? Same as anything. Observation and practice. You must have been observing and practicing for a very long time then. Honestly, sometimes it's just a way of life. So we proceed down the hall, bear left. Look for the fourth door. I'm going to open the one that says Morgue on it. Oh. Oh, that was uncomfortable. Oh, hey. Come on in. Don't stand out there in the cold. Wouldn't be accurate. Sorry about the chill in here, but I run a little hot. And you can see my roommates never complain. Wearing like a see-through lab coat. Yumi Sato, medical examiner. Dr. Sato, just the lady I wanted to see. Though I didn't expect that, I'd get to. The fact that they've assigned a medical examiner and not some ADD or junior means, oh, you can just call me Yumi. And you're Morgan. I represent the deceased. The deceased, Dr. Asher. Oh, Asher D. Wait, really? That's weird. I thought this time slot was scheduled for a group of noble PR people who... I know. Weird, right? Well, what the hell do I know? I was getting tired of hosting Megs anyway. Gotta finish typing up this report before we talk shop. But in the meantime, feel free to make yourself at home. I love being at home. Well, interesting. Made quite a bit of progress in our fun little investigation. What's this? The hospital's getting renamed? No, guess it's some other hospital that got snapped up. Okay. Hospital renamed to thank Ikaria family? In a ribbon-cutting ceremony held uptown today, Plotter Memorial Hospital was formally renamed the Northeastern Ikaria Medical Complex in recognition of the family's incredibly generous donations over the last several years. It's the latest in a string of philanthropic efforts by the family to result in a name change after they paid for the renovations to the orchestra hall and the retrofitting of what used to be known as Scout Arena. But it wasn't so long that the Ikaria were better known for drawing blood than donating it. Back before the 50s, they had a fearsome reputation for cutthroat business and practices that held their business rivals going so far as to accuse them of involvement with organized crime. After the founding of Renigen Medical over 25 years ago, its subsequent sales in the Ikaria have moved out of the business world and into the upper echelons of society. They are sometimes mockingly referred to as the neobility, as a generation of newly minted aristocrats, born from the unique and chaotic economics of the mid-21st century and the Red Decade. When asked her opinion on those who'd label her family House Ikaria at the hospital's renaming ceremony, Renigen board members Mireille Ikaria had this to say: "In this country, anyone can make a name for themselves, so as long as they are willing to put in the work. Mock new money all you want, but the truth is that success is all about reinventing yourself, and the only ones uncomfortable with that are We're working hard to print out the rest of your article, characters by character. It's tough work, but we're able to go about a lot faster if you'd leave a tip. Want to drop your payment info in a jar? Gross. Why cut off news like that? For money? No, obviously it's capitalism. Ikaria, I guess, weren't always in the same line of work. Now they're plastering their name wherever they get themselves a new image. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a new image thing, because I'm like... Recognition of the fin. Just be known as Scouter. As far as accuse them of involvement in organized crime. No, it's about image. That's why they... If they were, like, connected to organized crime for real, then it makes sense they would donate to a hospital. All the Neobility are eager to prop up their image wherever they can, but that must go double for the Ikarias. Assuming the truth about their criminal past is anywhere close to the rumors. Exactly. What's this here? That's a lot of screens. There's gotta be diminishing returns on productivity. Why do you have so many monitors, ma'am? Can't just ask someone that. Good question. Every quarter when they do inventory and budgeting, they ask me if I need anything, and I never do, so I submit a blank form. And I guess a while back there was a +1 in a spreadsheet somewhere that no one ever corrected it, and so, boom, I get 4 new monitors every year. Do you run out of things to use them for? Sometimes, but this year I've started running 2 dramas at once when I'm doing rote work, which helps. Watching 2 television shows at the same time helps you do rote work. Helps me use up the screens. I see. Excellent work. And I guess that's the last thing we can look at. Are these all dead bodies? One would hope so. I only meant that I'm surprised to see them stored here. It suggests a backlog, which suggests a higher murder rate than the public data would lead one to expect. Do you only examine bodies for the police, doctor? Oh, I wish. Nah, most of my job involves confirming COD on natural deaths for insurance adjustments. Insurers want to blame the mod for failing. Mod makers want to blame the stiff for not exercising enough. Families says the company insurance plan would pay for mods, but not a gym membership. Yeah, that whole wall there is suspected. Defective liver mods, suspected leaking internal biobatteries, suspected CCIC. CCIC? Climate change-induced complications. You can prove that climate change contributed to an otherwise natural death? Very, very rarely. If it can be proved, what does that mean for the family of the deceased? Plus or minus 14% on the life insurance payout. Damn. Yeah, I mean, it's most of what I do, and I don't dislike my job. It's just so much of what I do just boils down to telling a bunch of cheapskates how to split the dead man's bill. It's enough to make homicide feel like a breath of fresh air. She's finishing up over there? Right. Okay. So what's up? Thanks for your time, Dr. Sato. My first question would be, what was the cause of death? Oh, wow. Hi there, cute android. Didn't even realize it was really cute. The skin is... That's remarkable. Even just looking close, you can tell they really are warm. Still not quite human body temperature, but they've come a long way. The early gens all look flushed. Felt like they were always running a fever. They ran like it too. Even 2 years ago, the average warm android only lasted. Sorry, but the circumstances surrounding this particular case call for expediency. Is that a word? Right. Okay. So what can I tell you? Cause of death. Were you able to determine the cause of death? Well, cause of death, sure. We've got that much figured out, at least. Why doesn't that sound particularly reassuring? Dr. Asher died of respiratory failure. Not enough oxygen in the blood. Not enough blood going to the brain. Root cause being widespread depression of the central nervous system. What would the symptoms be? What would have it look like? Lightheadedness followed by dizziness. Then headaches, slurred speech, exhaustion, loss of consciousness, and then finally, respiratory arrest. Reports show that EMTs tried intubation, then resuscitation through the electrical stimulation repeatedly. By the time he got to the emergency room, they were desperate enough to attempt direct artificial blood oxygenation, but it was too late. And you're certain of all this? Oh, well, most of it, sweetie. Most of it. Yeah, it's turned into quite the puzzle, and I'm used to having more pieces to start with. I was surprised a man as rich and famous as him didn't have any kind of biomes. But his files show he wasn't a vile candidate for modding. Yeah, that's right. Without that kind of first-hand tech, we don't have nearly as much data as we'd like. But he was extensively monitored from the moment the EMTs arrived. We are very certain about our conclusion. Did you find anything else unusual about his body in your examination? Cuts or bruises? No injection sites, nothing in any cavities. Nothing at all, huh? The police mentioned a tox screen. Yeah, that's the thing. They ran a tox screen when he first arrived, a typical diagnostic intake procedure. Based on the emergency call, they figured he must have overdosed on something, but the tox screen gave them nothing. After he died, we performed the broadest screenings possible. Nothing. So were you first to conclude that this was a natural death? I didn't give up that easy. I took blood samples and compared their makeup with what was on record in his previous medical history, and I managed to isolate a single, non-naturally occurring chemical compound that wasn't there before. What was it? Some exotic toxin from a different hemisphere? I wish. I ran it through every available database we have access to, and even a few I only sort of have access to through some friends. Not only does it not match any known poison, it doesn't match the chemical makeup of any registered compound. So, a designer drug, huh? That seems to be the best explanation. What the hell did you do, David? You said that it didn't match any registered compound. What about compounds that aren't registered? Those friends of yours, private sector folks? Yeah, in pharmaceuticals. If one of them patented a new compound, a new drug, what would keep its formula from going on the record? In the private sector, intellectual piracy is the norm, so you're expected to protect your research aggressively. Patent first. Find a use later? Yeah, a patent would have to at least describe your compound in brief, but depending on what country you file in, I've heard it may be considered prudent to keep the actual chemical makeup off the record. Smart. Using international IP laws as your own personal minefield. How so? Whenever you're ahead, patent as much as you can, as fast as you can, but bury the formulae so no one knows where it's safe to walk. Anybody small and ambitious comes along, finds a new drug they're excited about, you flip up your card, let them know you came up with the idea years ago, and that you'll give them death by 1,000 court dates if they so much as blink. Wouldn't work on anyone your size or bigger. They could punch back. But for the rest of the field, wow, you corporate lawyers are scary. I'm not a corporate lawyer. So you came up with that strategy just now? So, it's possible that this poison is actually a known substance, something that the hospital could have easily identified. Also, I don't feel like that strategy is too advanced. I feel like it's what everyone does literally all the time. If it wasn't considered a trade secret, if it wasn't considered a trade secret, yes, unfortunately, that is a possibility. Still, just because a drug is new doesn't mean it's original. Does the effect that this compound had remind you of any other drug? Maybe one that's prescription only, or a controlled substance, one you might know by another name, but with a patented structure? Sorry, sweetheart. It's a general depressant. There are a lot of drugs that have effect on the body, and they come in all shapes and sizes from all kinds of places. If the effect was unremarkable, what about its strength? Could you estimate how much of this stuff he had in his body all told? Not precisely, no, but not without detailed knowledge on its half-life. But I guess it must have been about 20 milligrams? Is 20 milligrams a lot? Not for a medicine, so it wasn't just an overdose of something relatively harmless then. No, not if 20 mil was enough to crash his entire nervous system. Thank you, Yumi. Of course. So, you ready to review the body? We could skip it if you want. I know most people get squeamish around corpses. Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to leave it here. I think this is a good place to stop, and we'll get to David's body in the next episode. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.